How's it going, YouTube? We are back. We're going to be doing our second fighter spotlight on this channel. Before we get started, I have to ask you guys to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. So for our second fighter spotlight, we're doing Saul Canelo Alvarez. Pound for pound king right now, face of boxing. He has an astounding record of 56 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws with 38 knockouts. He's 31 years old, so he's he's been in the game for a while now, but he doesn't look like he's getting any worse for wear at that age. Orthodox stance. He's a Mexican fighter that also brings a lot of fans, a lot of attention to him. That Mexican fan base for boxing is really strong. He's 5'8", which is a little bit small for his division. 70.5 inches in reach. He's fighting at 168 currently, but we have seen him as low as 147 and as high as 175. Some accomplishments that he has a lot more than this, but this is what I have down. He is a 4-division champ, 154, 160, 168, and 175. He's unified. I believe he unified in multiple divisions, and he's fought 20 plus different champions. So when you have 20 plus champions on your resume, you can't really be questioned in terms of who you fought. He does have a loss, and it is to Floyd Mayweather in a majority decision. I remember watching that fight back in, I think, 2013 as a kid, and to me, Canelo just looked outclassed at that time, at least. Who knows, prime Canelo versus prime Mayweather. I still think Mayweather probably wins because Mayweather is probably arguably the best boxer of all time. Stylistically, it's not a good fight for Canelo there, and especially at that time, he was pretty young still. And not green in the fight game, but green in terms of that level of competition. The main events, the sold out arenas, stuff as big as what Mayweather brought to the table. Canelo was still pretty green. He does have a couple draws as well. Gennady Golovkin in that controversial first fight. You can really say either one of them won that fight. I believed it was a draw. It was a really good fight, and it's just the fact that it went to a draw kind of made it a little sour. And then really early into his career, his 4th career fight against Jorge Alvarez, who did not turn out to be too great of a fighter in his career. His 4th fight of his career, really young. I believe he was pro at 16, so he's a young man fighting against older grown men. And the fact that he never lost a fight in that day and age, or at that point of his career, is impressive as well. Notable victories. There's a bunch, like I said, and a lot of them aren't going to be marked. Shane Mosley isn't on here. Austin Trout, who was undefeated, isn't on here. There's some really talented fighters that aren't on this list. His first main title, so basically a main sanctioning body belt, not a regular, not a Latin American, not a one of those other belts. His first main title was at 154, a WBC belt, against Matthew Hatton in a unanimous decision victory. Canelo became a champion fairly young, and he has been really dominant since his loss to Floyd Mayweather. It really looked like he switched it. He turned like a flip the switch. He learned so much in that fight. His boxing improved. His power numbers started to increase. He's not without his own controversies, but he really is a really good face of boxing, and if we want to get into the controversies of this stuff, we can make another video for that. But this is just a celebration of a talented fighter. We don't need to be talking smack about anyone. We didn't talk any smack about Naoya Inoue in his video, so we're gonna only keep it to the positives here. His second division was a fight against Miguel Cotto, a unanimous decision victory at 160, a WBC belt. What I've noticed in his resume is he never has held the IBF in any of the divisions that he's fought. The IBF has kind of escaped him. I don't know if he just hasn't gone for it. I believe it was 160 where Triple G had it, but they had a draw, so I didn't turn out to be that way. Another unification, his first unification, I believe, was against Gennady Golovkin in their second fight, which was also controversial in a majority decision. I did have Canelo winning that fight. It was a big change in pace. In the first fight, Golovkin was doing most of the stalking, working his jab. Canelo looked like he was on his heels a little more, but landing the more powerful shots. This time, Canelo took it to him. He started pressing. He was stalking Triple G the entire fight, and as well as landing his good power shots. Neither one of them worked the body, which was a really interesting fact about that fight, that neither one of them was willing to take the risk of going to the body against the other man. Just the respect of each other's power. These guys can both really sting. They can really throw them, and it's just an ode to the respect of each other to stay away from working the body where you leave yourself open for those big hooks. His third division was against Rocky Fielding, not a very well-known fighter, a fighter that a lot of fans would like to see him not fight someone else at that time. That was for a WBA belt at 168, which is where he's currently at. Then he moves up to 175, fights Sergey Kovalev, knocks him out in spectacular fashion for the WBO belt, which he vacated later on because his plan was just to win the belt and not stay at 175. Where he is a little bit more green. He's a smaller guy for 175, so it is understandable for him to go back down to 168, where he is more comfortable, where he feels strong, where he's fast. 175 is a possibility for him if he does decide to fight Dmitry Bivol. They're looking to get a catch weight at 172. I'm not a big fan of catch weights. That's not my thing. I'd rather him go to 175 itself. I don't mind it if I'd rather see the Dmitry Bivol fight over the Caleb Plant fight. That's just my opinion. His last fight was a spectacular victory for 3 belts, another unification fight, the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, against Billy Joe Saunders, where he knocked him out with an uppercut in the 8th round that fractured, or I guess a TKO, technical knockout with a fractured orbital bone being on the part of Billy Joe Saunders. Literally broke his face in 3 different spots, I believe, around that eye socket. So it takes a lot of power to break that bone, and he felt it right away. He was saying that he broke his face. So that was a really good fight, a really tough fight for him as well. Billy Joe Saunders did make it tough. He was popping his jab, he was moving around, he was hard to hit, but Canelo timed him. He was starting to get the timing down, and he finally caught him with that uppercut that I was looking for him to hit, because they were really close. And I kept saying, if he lands one of those uppercuts, the fight's over. And he did land it, and it was over. His next fight, Caleb Plant, Dmitry Bivol. It's one of those two. It's looking like they're not going to fight on September 18th. They took too long with the negotiations on both sides, whether it was Bivol and Plant. That's another video for another time right there, what's going on with those negotiations. But they're looking like they're going to fight in November. And I would rather see him face Bivol, because Bivol is a tougher fight, tougher competition. An overall better fighter, in my opinion, a nice boxer with some more power. It's a riskier fight for Canelo. But Caleb Plant is more of a legacy fight, in my opinion, because of the undisputed title that would come with a victory against Caleb Plant. Either way, whichever man wins in that fight, Caleb Plant or Canelo, it's history because of that undisputed. Only 5 fighters have done it in history, so it would be nice to see another one come in, and especially at the 168-pound division, which no man has ever done. So either way, I'm happy with those fights. I don't see a problem. I think later on, if we are going to see him move to 175, I would like to see him fight Artur Beterbiev. That's a dangerous fight right there with a guy that has a 100% knockout rate. David Benavidez in the future. Guys of that nature, tough fights. All these guys have tough fights. Caleb Plant's going to be a tough fight, but I think he can knock out Caleb Plant once he gets that timing down. But that's going to do it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe. Comment other fighters you would like to see this for. It would really help me out because there's so many boxers to pick from. I just went with the most popular one here after I picked one of my favorites in a way. But I will see you guys next time. If you guys would like to make a donation, no hit media on Cash App.
Let's see that stinging right uppercut there.
Yeah, that was the side of the glove right into the eye. That was the one that did the damage. That was
Canelo's not even having to move his head because Kovalev's not even committing to the...
There it is. Kovalev's hurt. Kovalev's down. Kovalev's out. It's over.